So recently I have been rewatching Ninjago Season 7 for a video that I have been working on, and well, I remembered that Blunk and Ragmonk existed. And I have to say, they are definitely one of my least favourite parts of Season 7. And I'm gonna be honest, I like Season 7, fair warning, but the thing is that those two, in my opinion, did just do a lot of things I just didn't like. My summary of the Blunk and Ragmonk characters is just they're just Cruncher and Knuckle, but all of their worst aspects just amplified to 10. There was an entertainment factor to Cruncher and Knuckles. Blunk and Ragmonk just simply don't have it. But it made me think about who my least favourite Ninjago character was. And truth be told, I don't know the actual answer to it, because there is definitely someone I'm probably forgetting. But it did make me wonder what you guys thought. And well, if you are new to the channel, I like to do a lot of different polls and ask a lot of different questions that I do like to incorporate into my videos. So if you do want to be a part of something like this, please let me know. And this caused me to create a post on my channel where I asked you guys who your least favourite Ninjago character was and why. And the idea was to create this video where I took every single comment that I received and I made a little tally to see who your guys' least favourite Ninjago characters was, as a little frame of idea on where the Ninjago community is at in terms of its characters. But yes, this was definitely an interesting one, I have to say, because I got a lot of very interesting answers, but also the answer I just did not expect. And well, a lot of you guys had different reasons, some very interesting ones, and some other was just, I don't like this guy, that's that. But every single comment was really interesting to read, so thank you everyone that commented, but I thought I would cover a couple highlights, because there was a couple of interesting contenders for the least popular Ninjago character. The first main standout for me was from Not Yara FRR. I've definitely butchered that. And they said, my least favourite character has to be Ultraviolet. I feel like she has absolutely no personality other than the fact that she's insane. She's always annoying or loud on screen, which I get was the motive for creating a character, but instead of seeming like a relentless aggressive character she was supposed to be, she always just seems stupid and non-intimidating. I feel like her character could have been explored on a deeper level, or given a specific event to show how ruthless she can be, like how Kalmar killed his father, but instead we were given a terrible TV broadcast and a not needed comic relief. And I'm gonna be honest, I very much disagree. So in my opinion, Ultraviolet was definitely a character that was inspired by Harley Quinn. That was always the impression I always got. But I have to say, I do actually think she was given a specific event to show how ruthless she was, and that was actually in Season 9. Because in my opinion, her fight with Nia is what really showed how she will stop at nothing to be able to try, at the very least, and win a fight. And that mainly comes from the fact that she grabs a lamppost and she smacks Nia with it. Honestly, that was one of those things that felt almost relentless to me. And that was the thing, in my opinion, that proved that she was a relentless character. And I'm gonna say as well, Season 8 and 9 was definitely a darker time for Ninjago, and Ultraviolet definitely was one of those characters who I fully could have seen being the one that was to kill off a character. I mean, we see multiple times her straight up go for the kill shot, and I will definitely say, while the TV show was a bit over the top, I will agree with that, it does almost fit in with her character. So yeah, honestly, I do feel like this is one of those ones I probably would disagree with, because, well, of course her personality is the fact that she's insane, but I kind of like her for that because she's very unapologetic in that fact. And I mean, anytime we see her after the Oni trilogy, she still does mostly maintain that insane aspect, obviously apart from Crystallize, where she gets basically convinced by Ronan to be good, at least for the time being. But it was definitely one of those ones where she was, in my opinion, quite fascinating. I do think she could have been expanded on more, I agree with you on that. But definitely, in my opinion, I would not agree with this one, to be honest with you. But thank you for your comment. The second big one that I only saw one time was from... Oh, you told me how to pronounce your name. Elite, hello. And your one was... Hey dude, I would personally say that Robbie is my least favourite character from recent. He is sort of just really annoying and the stereotypical high energy vlogger that goes, yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the Let's Play video. Today we're generating Bitcoin for content, views and clicks. But be sure to click that link down below. I'm not finishing that, I've just read that further. I am not finishing that example, but yeah, okay. Also, you said love the videos, thank you my friend. But yes, I understand where you're coming from, but again, in similar vein to Ultraviolet, it's kind of Robbie's personality. That's the thing. He's a very over the top. His whole thing was that he was trying to modify or modernize, more specifically, the Tournament of Elements. And it's definitely one of those ones where, or Tournament of the Sources. Ooh, my apologies. But he definitely just seems like the one that was just trying to modernize it, trying to be over the top. Like a lot of, well, content creators. They amplify their personality. So I understand where you're coming from, but we do get scenes where Robbie is more serious, he's more to the point. He still can crack jokes, but he's definitely one of those ones that did have those more serious moments. So I understand where you're coming from, but again, I do think I'll have to disagree. I do apologize. But again, thank you. I do see a reason, though. I will say that. And I would say probably the last, like, anomaly kind of answer that I only got one of was actually from Green Bean. Hello. And your one, or your least favorite character, you said is probably going to be Cryptor, which I'm going to be honest, possibly was the biggest surprise of the bunch, because every other one, I'm looking at my list, and I'll show you guys this list in a minute, but I'm looking at my list of every single answer that I received, and Cryptor is probably the strangest one of all of them. There is one other one that I will mention in a minute, but it's definitely one of those ones where Cryptor kind of surprised me. But your reasoning was, I just don't really like him as much as other villains. Don't get me wrong though, I don't hate him, I don't hate any character to be completely honest, just some slight dislike. And I'm gonna be honest, this is the one that I really do wish I had more of an explanation for, because I understand where you're coming from, because of course Cryptor was kind of a secondary villain, but he did get his moments. But I would like to know specifically where you're coming from. I actually found Cryptor to be quite intimidating. In Season 3, I'm thinking of the scene with it in the electrical station, and they're trying to get the power off, and you have him outside the door just trying to get his way in, essentially. I think that seems really interesting, but the lighting definitely will help that, I'll say that. But yeah, Cryptor was possibly the most fascinating answer, I've got to say. But again, Green Bean, if you're watching this video, I would love to know more about why you don't like Cryptor. I know you said you just have some slight dislike for him, but if there is more to it, I'd love to hear it. But thank you for the comment. But those were all the ones I just had like for like a one-off. There's plenty more, I will say. I got Goltar, I got Sora's parents, the mechanic, Moro. I got a lot of different answers, I will say. But those are all of like the one-offs, and those three in particular did definitely stand out to me. But in terms of the ones that got a couple more answers, I did get 2 people who said Notacon. And I will say, I kind of understand this one, depending on how you look at him. The 2 commenters that did say Notacon was Mayonnaise Mitch and Trackmaster the Rail Fan. Hello both, I think I got your names right. But both of you had a very similar answer. Like, he gave off a bad energy, he had a really bad vibe to him, he was more creepy, for example. You both did have the same kind of idea when it came to it, and I will say I kind of understand it to an extent, but also I think it was to amplify the fact that he was inherently, well, a bad guy. You know, he has to have a bad personality. I know you have more eccentric villains, I know you have more of the anti-hero kind of option, but Notacon just seems inherently evil, and I think that's kind of in his favor, honestly, but I get what you both mean. But I will say, every single commenter that did comment a character and it came up more than once, honestly, all of you have very interesting reasons for it, and I wish I could go through every single one of yours, but this video would probably be an hour long, so I do apologize. But every single one, I do find interesting, because for example, the characters that got 2 different votes, I mentioned Notacon, but I also got Fugidove, and that was mostly because of the fact that he's just more of an annoying character to the point where he even annoyed Jay. So again, kind of understand it, but I think again it was kind of the intention. I got 2 votes for Kai, which again I think was another interesting one, but it was mainly down to his Wild Brain era from Season 8 through to Crystallized. Well, that includes the Oni trilogy as well, but that era of Kai where he was a bit more boiled down. But again, I've actually got a video coming up about Kai, so stay tuned for that. But yes, it was mainly down to how Kai acted in those specific seasons. I also got 2 for Dareth, and I think he was another one that was quite interesting to see, because again, mainly just people who found him annoying. This was really the era of people who found a character annoying, I'll say that. But I will say, just to comment specifically on the other 2 votes, one of them was actually Racer7, and I will say that's fairly interesting. So Joe McMoney, let's see why you don't like Racer7. You said she had a fine story in Prime Empire, but then suddenly she's in the human world and she just turns into a super confident driver who isn't good at driving. The opposite of what she was in Prime Empire, where she wasn't even that good. In conclusion, she went from an okay character to a huge fumble because of Crystallized. I will forever blame Crystallized for every problem in the show. Damn. But yeah, I actually kind of agree with this. Racer7, she was fairly interesting Crystallized because not Crystallized, in Prime Empire because she was never meant to win. But yeah, in Crystallized, she just suddenly is good. So I actually do really understand this. So I think this is an interesting one to see. Thank you. And the other one that got 2 votes was actually Crux and Acronix. And again, another interesting one to see. But let's see the main reason. Sam1718 Sam, you are the contender for this. You said Crux and Acronix, they're supposed to be really strong villains, but the show really doesn't sell me on that. Boring and bad written characters in my opinion. I think they should have made them less goofy and more intimidating like Crux was in the first scenes with Wu. And this is one of the many reasons why season 7 is my least favorite season. And I will say another interesting instance where I do understand where you're coming from, but I do still like Crux and Acronix. I will say, Acronix does feel like a different character in that first scene. His battle with Wu in the first episode of Season 7 is fantastic, I will say that. But I will also say that just generally speaking, I do like Crux and Acronix for the most part. I do think they're a little bit goofy, but I think that's just that era of writing, I'm going to be honest with you. But yes, they could have definitely been more intimidating. But it's interesting to see how this perspective would impact the interest of the character. But yes, thank you, Sam. Another interesting one, I have to say. But we're going to be moving then on to the characters that got 3 votes. And there were 4 that did get this. One being Hound Dog McBragg. And I will say, for the most part, that was just down to the fact that he had a really weird arc with the ninja in Crystallize. And he felt like a bit of an unnecessary replacement to the commissioner. So I do understand that. The other one I thought was really weird is that Dorama got a lot of interesting comments about him. And again, it seemed like it was mostly just down to the fact that his arc in Dragon's Rising just seemed a bit useless. But again, just one I kind of understand, but at the same time, I was just a bit interested to see that he was this high up. But the other 2, well, one of them's Blunk and Ragmonk, and I feel a little bit vindicated, I have to say. For example, every single one that I saw about Blunk and Ragmonk did actually agree with me. Like I said, the example, Lego Man 1945, they were just meant to be the comic relief, but they were just very annoying. And that is exactly how I feel about them. They are every single part of Cruncher and Knuckle, just the bad aspects dialed up to 100. So yes, it made sense for it to be there because that probably would have been my answer. But the other character who got 3 votes was actually Jay, and that was an interesting one. I got a lot of things about the same era like Kai, season 8 to 16, where he just felt a little bit different of a character. But I did want to point out specifically Jedi TG because you specifically said Evil Jay, and I will say, I've really been enjoying Evil Jay. I can't wait to see how Rogue is in Dragon's Rising Season 3. But you said Evil Jay because it feels unnecessary to turn him evil. Yes, I know they want him to have a cool arc, but please, I just want Jay moments again. And, well, I understand. I really do. I understand why some people don't like Jay. I will say I have my personal issues with Jay, but that's why I'm making a video about every single one of the ninja. But it's one of those things where I understand. But personally speaking, I do like Evil Jay, but I understand why some people don't like him. I will say then we're going to move on to someone who got 4 votes, and it's only one person, and they are officially taking the 3rd place medal, because there are 2 characters above this, and this is actually going to be Harumi, and this was mostly just down to her in Crystallized, I will say this. For example, you have the Lego Guy 2 who just said Crystallize Harumi. You know why, and well, yeah, I think we all do know why. But again, for example, just another one, Beep Boop WS4VP Harumi in the Crystallized arc. Do I need to say more? It's definitely one of those ones where everyone just kind of understands where the dislike for Harumi does come from. So it's just one of those ones that it feels like it's almost necessary to point out. I do like Harumi, I will say. Crystallized Harumi, I have a bit of an interesting opinion on, but if you do want to see a video where I fully break down Harumi, please let me know, because I'll be more than willing to. But yes, she's the number 3. And the number 2 and the number 1 both have 5 votes. So this is technically joint first and second, but I will say based on the like count, I do think someone does take the top spot. But the 2 people that received 5 votes was Misako and the Overlord. The Overlord was definitely an interesting one, but I feel like for the most part, everyone who said the Overlord definitely came down to the fact that he's just a reoccurring villain that can always come back. You can never truly defeat him, so the fact he's come back 3 times now has felt a little bit stale, and I will say that does kind of make sense. Like, for example, Mythical Kitty Dog said the Overlord because I'm not a fan of the type of character who's just meant to be the embodiment of evil and is responsible for every bad thing to have ever happened. And they also defeated him like 3 times now. So yeah, I understand the hate towards the Overlord. I think the Overlord is interesting in concept, but in execution is a bit of a shame. I will say I was one of the people who, when Crystallized was released, they were hoping it wasn't the Overlord, but I understood the whole time it was definitely going to be him. I just kind of didn't want it to be him. But yeah, definitely the Overlord being up there, I understand. But Misako was definitely the one that interested me. For example, the top comment from this post was from Rosie Fatuni 2878, and you said, Misako for sure, the lady did nothing for her son. Her husband is evil, he obviously can't be around a baby, so he leaves. Misako decides that she doesn't want him either because she wants to study about the prophecy. She could have taken him with her, and then when he's older, she decides to come back and everyone is okay with that, like as if she didn't traumatize Lloyd. Not to mention her and Wu. Not a fan, like that's disgusting. Your uncle decides to take you in, he cares for you, trains you, you have 4 older brothers and a sister, your mum comes back and you can tell she likes your uncle, but when your dad is good she's with him? Just pick a man please. She's so useless and is honestly just there to fill as a character. To be honest, she had potential to be a great character, but it didn't go very far. But that was honestly the consistent theme when it did come to the characters or the least favorite characters of Ninjago. And I'm going to be honest, I do understand it. I really do. It's definitely one. But every single person who did say about it definitely had that kind of logic behind them. Just to read one more, for example, it's the Quenchiest did say Misako. She knew about the prophecy and that Lloyd would be the Green Ninja, having to be his dad. And you know what she did? She sent him to Darkley's school for bad boys. So she sent him to a school to turn him bad. And then when he got kicked out, he was homeless for a while. Misako just sat back and didn't care. Lloyd should never have forgiven her. Not to mention she clearly has a crush on Wu while still being married to Garmadon. She mega sucks. And yeah, that does seem to be the consistent idea. And honestly, I agree. Yes, she abandoned Lloyd. She sent him to a school for bad kids for some reason. Decides to just come back and then just tries to be with Wu. I think it was soft confirmed that they had some form of a relationship, or at least after season 4. But I'm not entirely certain, to be honest. But yes, it certainly seems like Misako was the least favorite. But to be honest, I actually wasn't expecting it. But that's why I love these kind of videos. But this is the overall list. Here is every single character that got mentioned in this comment section. And take a look through and let me know which ones you agree with and which ones you disagree with. Because overall, Misako and the Overlord are considered the least favorite characters when it comes to the show. But let me know what you guys think. I would love to know more opinions. And like I said, if you want to be involved in a video like this soon, let me know, and also hit the subscribe button because I do want to do one about the favorites of Ninjago characters very soon. But yes, that is it for this video. Let me know what you think, and like I said, let me know who you think is your least favorite Ninjago character. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Take care. Okay,